Hello, and thank you for attending this free introductory webinar. We'll be talking today about how your life can and will become more peaceful, serene, and joyful. You can also eliminate some things that could be plaguing you, like stress, chronic anger, and pain. Just give me a few minutes here today, and I'll show you how you can do all of these things. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is JimPatterson, and I am a writer, speaker, student, and teacher on a wide range of spiritual and self-development topics, such as meditation, A Course in Miracles, the Law of Attraction and Manifesting, Ho'oponopono, which is an ancient Hawaiian clearing technique, the Sedona method as well. Great number of these things, of course, overlap one another's, but today we're going to be talking about some very, very simple practices that you can use to accomplish the goals that we mentioned before. So let's go ahead and dive right in. First of all, a simple outlook change, simple perspective change can really pay off big as far as what you're trying to accomplish and bring into your life and change about your life if you're having frustrations. We're going to be talking about, yes, meditation. And specifically, we're going to be talking about the frustrations that people have when they're just getting started in meditation practice, when they're trying to get relief to bring in the benefits that they've heard about that other people are enjoying, but have perhaps been eluding them. And most importantly, we're going to talk about how you can apply these things and get relief today. From the very first time you try, you can get good results. It's really not as complex or as difficult as you may have been led to believe, or you may have initially experienced without a little bit of simple direction. First of all, let's talk about some of the things that you'd like to eliminate. You'd like to eliminate, most people would, anger if this is something that's plaguing them. If it's normal, of course, to get angry or frustrated with people at times with different situations, but that's not really what we're talking about. We're not talking about an experience that passes on as soon as it's over, that you experience it and then move on from that to the next content or experience in your life. We're talking about something you just can't let go of. We can eliminate conflict from our lives. Very often, this is again something that tends to bottle us up and keep us from being able to experience the wonderful things that are going on all around us, in spite of the fact that we're not experiencing them. We can eliminate stress. This is probably the number one complaint that brings people to the point where they do wish to try meditation to get release from stress. And of course, the resulting depression that comes when these things become cyclical, when these things become pervasive in our lives. Depression is just a horrible thing that many people are plagued with. And it isn't necessarily about something. It can be brought on by a compendium of things, a complex mix of all sorts of issues that people have in their life. The number of causes of depression are as infinite as there are numbers of people out there that are suffering from it. But there is help. There are things that we can do to eliminate these things in our life. And we're not talking, of course, about pharmaceutical help. We're talking about holistic, about meditation practice that will bring relief from these things. Of course, the number one question people are going to ask is, how can that be? What do we do in order to bring this about? Before we go and start talking about the meditation practice, we need to have a small shift in our understanding, in our perspective in life, and the things that we experience as we interact with other people. If we can accomplish that, we're going to find that the rest of it becomes a lot easier. Now, this particular understanding that we're going to talk about is something that I came across in the assumptions to a practice called NLP. Get this slide to change here. There we go. Whenever we're frustrated, or angry, or we face any challenges, we need to remember this. Every single person that we meet is in fact doing the best that they can with the resources available to them. This is very powerful. I want you to stop and think about this for a moment. Every single person that we meet is doing the best they can with the resources available to them. Now let's take a day-to-day situation, something that happens in any area of the country thousands, if not millions of times a day. You're driving along, you're on your way to work, and someone cuts you off in traffic. You narrowly avert having an accident, and boom, you're right there. It just really, really angers you, and you can't believe that that person was that thoughtless, and you are ascribing a certain set of motives to an extent to the activities of that person. What we don't realize is that 99% of the time when these types of things happen, the offending party in our own minds doesn't even know there was an issue. They may not have even realized at all that they had cut someone off in traffic, or once they realized that it was too late. How could that be? Well, think about the last time that you yourself did that. There was something else going on in your mind, wasn't there? Well, likewise, this other person that's out there may have just lost their job, may have just found out that their spouse was leaving them, or had been diagnosed with a chronic illness. Perhaps they just found out that one of their children had been injured in school or in sports. You really don't know what is going on with that other person. And almost never is the situation what we thought it was. Now let's go back again to when we had done it. We cut someone off inadvertently in traffic. No doubt once we realized it had happened, we tried to wave or let them know that it wasn't intentional. And there was something that had distracted us, something that was going on. And of course, in our own minds, we wanted the benefit of the doubt, didn't we? We wanted them to know that we were, in fact, doing the best we could in that moment with the resources available to us. But there was more than one thing that we were dealing with. If we approach all of our interactions day to day with this understanding, that in fact, everyone that we meet is in fact doing the best they can with the resources available to them, it will free us from stress, from a conflict in our minds that was really an illusion, from all sorts of negative impacts, and allows us to be more present. It doesn't drive the joy and whatnot out of our lives, the serenity and the peace from our lives. It really, really does benefit us to give other people that benefit of the doubt, to change our perspective, to understand everyone is in fact doing their best. If you come back to future webinars, we're going to be talking about this particular concept a lot more in depth, because of course there's many cases that we would say, well, of course, someone cuts you off in traffic, that's one thing, but there are many things in life that are far more serious. This still applies. We'll be talking about that in future webinars, so be sure to come back. Now, we've talked about eliminating things, negative things from our lives. What about adding? What about adding peace, serenity, and joy? What about changing the quality of our life to where it is pervasively positive? How do we accomplish that? What is it that we can do that will bring these changes about so that we experience this, and this is how we would describe our lives overall? The number one thing that we can do is, of course, staying centered through meditation. Meditation is without a doubt the most positive thing that we can do to impact our lives in a positive way. Now, having said that, I want to encourage you not to panic. There isn't anyone out there who has entered into meditation that didn't at first experience some frustration. It seems too many and difficult to get started. Between you and myself, there isn't a single person out there that hasn't expressed in the initial stages that they just can't turn off those voices in the back of their head. They just can't stop those random thoughts from popping in. This is normal. This is normal. But let's break it down to its simplest level. Meditation is not this great, big, huge, difficult thing. It's a very small and simple thing. Eckhart Tolle, one of his more famous quotes, is that one conscious breath in and out is a meditation. One conscious breath in and out is a meditation. That really, really is quite powerful. Now, in helping some of my readers and the people that I have coached with meditation, that were having a great deal of problem with stress and getting started, I wrote an article on JimPatterson.us titled Simple Stress Relief Through Meditation. And it outlines this very simple type of thing that Eckhart Tolle was talking about, something that allows you to get fairly quick results even from the first session. Doesn't require a lot of study, doesn't require anything complex at all. Let's take a look. The three pieces to this puzzle that bring it together and make it so simple are these. First of all, posture. You don't have to sit in the lotus position. You don't have to try and align your chakras. You mostly just want to be in a position that is comfortable for you. You can sit, you can lie down, you can put your feet up on an ottoman as long as you're comfortable. You want to be in a room that is, or an area that is free of distractions. It really doesn't matter what you prefer. You just don't want a lot of loud noises in there, and you don't want anything that's going to interrupt you. You want to keep your hands open and the soles of your bare feet firm in contact with the floor. Of course, socks are fine. You don't need to be cold, but just you don't want to be wearing shoes. You want to have your hands open. That's pretty much it for posture. Couldn't be simpler. Breathing is probably one of the aspects of meditation that gets the most attention. There are a lot of complex breathing exercises out there associated with meditation. I've gone through and done a great deal of study and practice in this area. And the fact of the matter is that you really can break it down to the very most simple practice by simply breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. Try that a few times in a relaxed situation before you attempt to sit and do a meditation session, and it will probably give you all of the experience you need with this practice to do it. You just want to be breathing deeply and slowly in through your nose, out through your mouth. Now, the routine is the last piece of the puzzle. When you go ahead and sit down or lie down to enter into this meditation practice, doesn't have to be for a long time, and the first time you should probably just try to do it for a couple of minutes. Simply close your eyes and begin breathing as we just talked about. And on your exhale, hold the thought of your stress, the negative emotions, all of the toxic things that are in your system, of exiting your body through the palms of your hands and the soles of your feet. You're breathing in all that's good and nourishing and positive, and as you breathe out, all of the negative things are exiting, both with your breath and through your hands and your feet. This is a very, very powerful, cleansing, and stress-relieving meditation practice that I still use today. There are a great many others that I use, but this is one that really, really is cleansing and freeing and will add so much peace, serenity, and joy to your life as you do this. as I said, the first sessions that you do this with, just a couple of minutes long is fine. You'll find that it becomes easier and easier to get into what people refer to as a meditative state. As you do this, meditative state really isn't anything all that arcane or ritualistic. It simply means that as things fall away and you're basically down to where you just are holding the one thought in your mind, this needs to be done very lightly. If you ever heard people say, I work so hard at meditation, well, don't do that. Wayne Dyer refers to it as interacting with all of these things very lightly. If you find that the first time that you attempt this, that it doesn't work for you, it will, for 90% of the people out there, it will. The first time they sit down, they will be able to do that with this type of a practice. If you just are approaching it from just this standpoint and nothing else. It is quite simple, and most people have that good experience. But if it isn't that simple for you, if the first time, don't make it a mutable law by saying, well, I can't do that. Say to yourself, well, I wasn't able to this time, I'll reapproach it later. Don't make it an immutable law. Don't set yourself up in your mind that this doesn't work for me. This works for everyone. It does in fact work for 100% of the people that do this. If you're one of those handful that this practice won't work for the first time, walk away, reapproach it another time. You will get there, I promise you. I want to talk to you also about a concept that in later sessions, once you've used the cleansing method that we just talked about before, a concept that you might want to meditate on, the Chinese term of Chengren. What it means is, the literal translation from the Mandarin is to admit or to accept and allow. It has a lot of different colors and shades to the meaning, but this particular concept of accepting and allowing can be very, very powerful in your life. It will allow you to leave conflict behind that exists nowhere but in your own mind. Think about it for a second. There's some part of your life that you've been experiencing difficulties or frustration with, and you'd like to change. Now, if you're like most people, as you fight this, you're trying very hard to deny that that is the actuality of what's going on. Whether it's a financial situation, whether it's a health situation, whatever it is, we tend to, by nature, automatically just say, shut that out, hold that away. But let me ask you something. What are your chances of being able to affect a change in something that you are not acknowledging is the actuality? You can't change something that you don't believe is true. And in denying it, pushing it away, that's exactly what we're doing. We're saying that's not so. Well, the fact of the matter is that it is so. The law of attraction notwithstanding, just saying that isn't so doesn't change it. Am I saying that I don't believe in the law of attraction? No, I do very strongly believe in manifesting practice and all of that, but this is at the heart of it to start with. You really have to be able to accept what is, as if you had chosen it. Accept it without judgment. It simply is. Don't call it good. Don't call it bad. It just is. And then the allow portion. This is really, really a very powerful, powerful aspect of this. Once you are able to accept what is, you can then take that next turn and allow the universe to address it. One of the things that happens through meditation practice is that you reconnect with your higher power, which is, of course, the creative source for the entire universe. It is where all things come from. Now, again, I'm not trying to change anyone's belief structure or what their particular faith is. But whatever you acknowledge as your higher power is no doubt what you believe the creator of the universe is, the source of all things, and particularly all good things. Do you think that that higher power, whether you call it God, source, vortex, whatever you refer to that as, do you think that that intelligence does not know what you need? Do you think you have a better idea, or your higher power has a better idea of how to solve and address that problem? Now here's the next question. Do you believe that your higher power wants you to have the relief that you seek? Well, of course your higher power wants that. So therefore, it's more about allowing that solution to come of its own. And it will come. You may think to yourself, well, does that mean I don't take what actions that I can do to bring things about? Of course you do. By doing so, you're allowing your higher power, the universe, in concert to work with you to address that situation. But you need to really approach it with this acceptance of what is and allowing the universe, your higher power, to bring about the needed effect, the needed change, so that you may enjoy the relief and the peace and the happiness and the joy that you seek. This is really a good concept to meditate about. A lot of people will resist meditation because they're afraid of losing themselves. They're afraid that, a lot of people say, well, if I lose my anger, if I lose my, those things that have bottled me up, okay, that's who I am. But it really isn't. The thing about meditation is that as these things fall away and are replaced with happiness, with joy, with peace and serenity, you become more and more you. Those things are not you. You become more and more you because your identity is a great deal simpler and more wonderful than what you probably had thought when you were identifying with those things that had affected you, and many times in a very negative way. I mentioned early on that we're also going to talk about chronic pain. Many people are faced with, from injuries, all sorts of things, genital abnormalities, things like that, or from stress with headaches and whatnot, problems with chronic pain. You're not alone. This is something people are struggling with all over the place, and for many people, pharmaceutical solutions are not practical, not working anymore, or in some cases, like here locally, we find that many people are no longer able to get them, even when their doctors are legitimately prescribing to them the items to them. It's getting more and more difficult to obtain them through the pharmacy system. Does that mean that you're just doomed to face the chronic pain alone and to just suffer through it? Nothing could be further from the truth. I've got not only a book on Kindle addressing headaches using these methods that we're going to talk about here, but also there's an article, again, over on JimPatterson US entitled Addressing Chronic Pain with Meditation Techniques. And again, it couldn't be simpler. This isn't something that is so intensely metaphysical and complex that it's only available to those people who have reached, quite high levels of meditation and meditation samadhi or whatever term you want to use, it is in fact something that can be accessible to everyday people without having to go through months or years of training to get there. If you start out with a meditation practice very similar to what we talked about before with stress release, you're going to find that at the point where you've done a few breaths in and out and allowed negative emotions and whatnot to clear and stress to fall away, you then are able to access some very powerful pain relief in a meditative state with a very simple, very simple process. What you need to do is, after you've taken a few breaths in and out and allowed the toxicity to pass out of your system through your exhaling, also through the soles of your feet and the palms of your hand, very slowly allow your consciousness, your presence, so to speak, to rest in your hands. And just feel the energy passing through them. Now at this point, once you've experienced that, very lightly and gently allow that same presence to pass over to wherever it is that the pain that you're dealing with resides. If it's a headache, you would allow your awareness to rest lightly on whatever area of your head you're experiencing the pain in. If it's in your lower back, the same thing. If it was in an ankle or a knee, you would do the same thing. And at that point, once your awareness was very lightly resting there, you simply listen to that pain without judgment. That sounds kind of strange to a lot of people. How can I not judge that pain? Isn't pain bad by its very nature? Well, let's talk about that for a second. Pain is, in essence, a neurological message being sent to your brain from whatever part of your body is injured or afflicted. That message, that neurological chemical message, is not just ouch. It is, in fact, a message that contains a great deal of information about the very nature of the injury or the affliction that is causing that pain. Again, remember we talked before about, with Cheng Ren, accepting and allowing. The first thing we have to do is accept that there is something going on there. If we're denying it, and of course with pain more than anything else, we're trying to block that out. Okay, now what happens when someone is trying to give you a message and you try and block it out? Well, the next thing they do, of course, is they repeat the message and perhaps do so louder. That's exactly what your pain's going to do if you try and deny it. It assumes the message is not getting through. So you've got to hear what it has to say. Now, obviously, we're not talking about hearing a verbal message. We're not talking about you consciously understanding the nature of that message. But if you can switch over to a listening mode as opposed to a denying and trying not to hear it mode, your nervous system will not just hear that message, it will understand all the complexities in that message, and your body will know what to do. And even if it cannot solve the problem immediately upon hearing the message and understanding it, upon that message getting through, now the pain will subside. The pain will lower immediately. It will just fall away because the message got through. It doesn't have to keep shouting anymore because it knows help is on the way. The people that I have coached one-on-one with this technique have had a 100% success rate. everything from migraine headaches to people with back surgery that have had problems with knees. Every single type of pain that we have sought to address with this method, it has worked for. Now, am I saying that overnight you're pain-free, be able to throw away your medication? Let me be clear. I am not a physician. I am not giving medical advice. I'm not telling you to throw away medications or not go to a doctor. What I am telling you is that you can get relief from this pain in spite of other things not working for you. I'm saying that your life will be better if you're not crippled with chronic pain that does not allow you to function day to day. So the key elements here, again, we're pulling in the Cheng Ren, accept that you have the pain. And then notice here how by listening to that pain message without judgment, you're allowing your body to address it. Now, is that because you personally, consciously know what your body has to do to address that? Of course not. But this is a perfect example of your higher power. The universe has instilled your body with the ability to read that message and know what to do to address that injury, that affliction, and relieve your pain. Spend a lot of time on this particular thing because it's something that a lot of people are faced with, and they really, really can, without a lot of difficulty, get huge amounts of relief from this. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this webinar. I wanted to give you a brief introduction to several different areas of my study and the things that I write about, that I teach about, and I coach people one-on-one as well. You'll notice there at the bottom of the page there is a little ribbon that says be notified of upcoming webinars. Go ahead and put your email address there and submit it, and we'll let you know when we have more webinars coming up. Also, you'll get notified if there is a speaking engagement that I have in your area, and of seminars that will be coming up and be made available with these and other techniques that can give you relief from all of the things that we talked about, all of the negative things, as well as adding those things that we all want in our lives, the peace, the serenity, and the joy. So thank you again for taking the time to watch this webinar, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Namaste.